all of you and I welcome you to the 21st World Congress of Accountants 2022. Let's give a big round of applause and let's kindly settle down, please. Thank you so much. I'm sure that each one of us is completely feeling energized the way Swami Ramdev ji has been able to enlighten us completely live through his big breakthrough experience of making us go through this practice of global health and yoga. But yes, moving forward, we would now be moving on into our next session, which is on improving global competitiveness through the free trade zones. Free trade zones which can help businesses compete globally. And this session would focus on how free trade zones can be used by businesses for increasing global competitiveness and reducing costs. For doing the deliverables for this session, I would like to invite our distinguished dignitaries for the next session now. May I request all the delegates present here to kindly take a seat before I invite our dignitaries here. I'm sure we are all still feeling the kind of rage that he's been able to create on stage. We have lots and lots of things coming up. Now, let's all take a seat now. And now I take this opportunity to invite CAG Ramaswamy ji, past President ICAI, and Mr. Saud Salim Al-Mazrai, Director, Hamria Zone, Sharjah, UAE, to the dais, please. Can we have a big round of applause, please? I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce our speakers to you all for this session. We have CAG Ramaswamy, sir, who's the past president of ICAI for the year 2011-12. He's been a board member of the International Federation of Accountants for the period 2011-14, and he was also the technical advisor to the Professional Accountancy Organization Development Committee. And Mr. Saud Salim Al-Mazrai, Director for Hamria Free Zone Authority, Sharjah, UAE, sir has been improving the Hamria Free Zone investment landscape from 81 companies in 2000 to about 6,000 today from all over about 155 countries across the globe, which are extremely noteworthy. Sir is today rated as a business leader with a promise and commitment, possessing a great potential to be a partner in the process of the economic development of the United Arab Emirates. At this onset, may I now request CAG Ramaswamy, sir, past President ICAI, to kindly address the session.
Good afternoon, friends. At the outset, I must thank the organizers, especially my ICAI and IFAC, and the President of the ICAI, Mr. Devasis, and Mr. Vice President, Mr. Aniket, and the Council colleagues and friends who have given me this opportunity to stand before you to talk about improving global competitiveness through free trade zones. Friends, after hearing the Baba Ramdev's inspiring speech and this yoga demonstration, it will be very difficult for us to stand before you to debate and discuss about this global competitiveness. Sri Baba Ramdev himself is a free trade zone. It will be very difficult to follow his footsteps immediately, but this demonstration is an eye-opener for all of us to create a global health. We have with us Saud Salim Al-Masrouli from Saudi, UAE, is going to address about these free trade zones. Friends, we all know that the free trade zones are very important for every country. It's a foreign territory within the country which is going to provide a great support for all the business community. The goods may be stored and goods may be handled, assembled, and repackaged in a particular territory, which will be given a complete tax exemption, custom duty benefits, and everything will be given to them. The free trade zones in India is strategically put into this various places nearby this harbors, nearby the airports and all these things, so that there will be a completely free import and export without any hassles. According to the World Economic Forum, competitiveness defined the set of institutions, policies, and factors that determine the level of productivity of the country. We, the chartered accountants, must remember that beyond the profession, we must understand that what is the role and responsibility of the accounting profession in world level. Our former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, has very rightly mentioned that the chartered accountants are the part of the partner of the nation building of every country. We, the world level, the accounting profession, we have about 130 countries are present here. 170 countries are partners of nation building along with the international financial accounting standards and all of them. We are having a different system of accounting standards in different countries, but common, unified social responsibility of an accounting profession is to provide a great support to their respective nations for its economy, for its growth, and for the socio-economic developments. With this, the free trade zones can provide a greater support for the industries. For example, the rural areas, maybe certain areas which have been marked as industrial parks, international standard amenities will be provided in particular place so that there will be no constraint for an industrialist come and start their own industry. It will attract the foreign investment, it will attract the free flow of investment, and there will be a free flow of an investment can go out as a part of their investment. There are methodologies in India, we call it as special economic zones, namely free trade zones are available, export processing zones are available, free zones, industrial parks, so many things are there in India. Like that in every country is focusing on that for an industrial and other areas. For example, in the case of India, on 1410, there is a statistic states that exports 2020-21 is about $133 billion from India. This is very important for the concept for a growth of every country. The same principles can be followed by many nations. The statistics I can tell you that there are more than 7,000 special economic zones are there available as per the OECD informations. OECD reports free zones are responsible for the export worth at least about 3,500 billion in a year, equivalent to the 20% of the global trade in goods. That shows the importance of the free trade zones in every place. Special economic zones are particularly widespread in Asia, where they are regarded as the key engine for the growth. The export-oriented growth is very important for every country, which there will be a key growth for their greater support. I can tell you that some of the world's most important free trade zones are North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, set up in 1994, conducting worth of trade worth of over US 1 trillion worth per year. European Union single market comprising about 28 European members are there. So like that, China is also having a special economic zones. Similarly, we in India also we having a different special economic zones for the development of this entire nation. What are the benefits for the free trade zones. Free trade zones are enjoying an exemption from duty. Free trade zones are giving a mechanism for the growth. There will be a greater opportunity for them for doing first-class, world-class infrastructure facilities. All these things are available. So, friends, for every country, there will be a complete system of a free trade zone is very important. In world over, we have a very less number of the free trade zones are available, but it's a concept of developed by the UAE is a model free trade zones. We have a great friend with us. He will be going to explain about this, how UAE is using the entire free trade zone concept for the purpose of its growth. It's a great growth engine for the growth of any of the countries. The countries now are expecting an industrial revolution. In 1940, a lot of failures have happened. After that, the great industrial revolution has happened in the world. Like that, after this pandemic, we are expecting a great revolution in this country. So naturally, the accountants can play a very important role for a growth of any company or any country for its development and its world presence. So the global competitiveness through these free trade zones are very important, and every country must work on that with the facilities like tax exemptions, customs exemption, re-export, import freely, they can export freely, the concession for the harbors, all these things are very important for its growth. So research facilities are very important for the growth of the free trade zones. All these things are combined together. Naturally, every country can move forward globally, and they can prepare themselves for a greater competitiveness for its growth. With this, I once again thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity they have given to me to elaborately just discuss about some of the few areas relating to free trade zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful address to the session on free trade zones. And I'm going to now take this opportunity to request Mr. Saud Salim Al-Mazrai, Director for Hamria Free Zone Authority from Sharjah, UAE, to kindly address the session.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First, I would like to say that this is an amazing crowd. It's the biggest conference I have been to. In the last 22 years, I feel today like a Bollywood star. And I think all of you are the same, feel the same thing. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to be here with you today at this global event, which brings together a host of high-profile business leaders, experts, professionals from around the world to discuss and exchange ideas, experiences, and knowledge about the best practices in our specialties. India has always held a special place in my heart. I have traveled to India more than 200 times, and each time there is something unique and something new to learn and experience. Indian entrepreneurs are the smartest and brilliant minds I had the pleasure of interacting and doing business with in the last 22 years. Today's Congress is extremely important. It comes at a very vital stage while the entire world is striving to recover from the awful global epidemic, an epidemic that had and still has negative impacts on everyone around the globe. And let's face it, COVID-19 repercussions had the greatest impact on international and local business exchanges, as well as the economic growth. The global economy underwent significant changes, and so did its management strategies, which experienced numerous instability. These fluctuations had absolutely resulted in an impact on the free zones. And this raises a decisive question. Would the free zones still play a fundamental role in boosting the competitiveness of the economy of various countries? This question leads me to the core of my speech today, which revolves around developing global competitiveness through free trade zones. However, allow me first to show you a complete vision of my answer to this proposed question. First of all, I would like to refer Hamriya Free Zone Authority as an example for me, my answer, as I am the director, as already noted. Hamriya Free Zone is one of the most important and largest free zones in the UAE, as well in the Arabian Gulf. The free zone has made a substantial contribution to Sharjah's economy and has drawn large amounts of foreign direct investment, boosting the Emirates' reputation as a global business hub. Midway through the 1990s, Hamriya Free Zone was established. Today, over 25 years after its establishment, the Sharjah GDP has grown by 700%, from $4.4 billion in 1997 to $35.5 billion in 2021. Some may wonder, why am I bringing up these figures? Like many others, I believe that competitiveness and free zones complement one another, and that neither can develop or grow without the other. I am confident that free zones are where competitiveness begins, since free zones are an integral part of the economic system and greatly contribute to the creation of job opportunities, to the quick and simple transfer of technology and skills, as well as to the growth of economic sectors like trade, manufacturing, and logistics services. Ladies and gentlemen, the key word for global competitiveness, that is attracting investment and economic growth, has two parts, namely free and zones. And I am pleased to share with you a saying that I believe with whomever I meet, free zones are the cornerstone of development and the main catalyst for competitiveness and growth. Free zones typically offer a welcoming atmosphere for foreign investment. I can convey my thoughts and demonstrate the significance of free zones for any nation's economy in the following line. You can fill in the blank with the appropriate number whenever talking about any free zone. These free zones contribute 50% of this country's non-oil economy, creating 30% of the jobs, accounting for 30% of the country's total exports, and 40% of the total foreign investment inflows. Long story short, free zones are truly the cornerstone of the competitiveness and economic prosperity. Thus, don't you now agree that free zones contribute effectively to strengthening the global competitiveness of any economy? Honorable audience, the mere fact that free zones exist does not mean that they can easily provide a competitiveness advantage to operational companies. There are many factors that have to be taken into account and set free zones apart, including their adaptable legislation framework, developing and modern infrastructure, which offers services like facilities, telecommunication, transportation networks, and logistics, as well as advantageous geographic location, which makes it easier to access international markets. The COVID-19 epidemic has led to digitalization, and smart services became crucial to drawing direct investment into the free zones. All free zones are making every effort to proactively reach out to customers and investors, expect and fulfill their needs to make it easier for them to do their business. The competitiveness of cities and countries is certainly not measured by the number of free zones they have, but rather by the level of service and advantage that they each offer and provide to their investors. We in the Emirate of Sharjah, particularly at Hamriya Free Zone, adopt an advanced and developed strategy based on three pillars to enhance the competitiveness of our services and support economic diversification. The first pillar is to support companies and investors and maintain sustainability for their business, while the second is to attract more quantitative investments in the traditional and non-traditional sense. As for the third pillar, it is to do with continuous developing and upgrading logistics, infrastructure, and integrated service networks, including digital services, which would promote investors' confidence in the destination of their investment and offer them value-added needed services to develop their investments and grow. In addition to these, we also refer to the 4 Cs: convenience, connectivity, collaboration, and commerce, that underpinning our vision, mission, and culture while serving our investors. Since successful strategies are always based on both clear corporate culture and comprehensive vision, I would like to clarify to you what we mean by the 4 C pillars that sets our journey towards excellence and creativity apart. We believe that convenience is the first thing that any investor would think of when looking for a destination for their investment. And with the ease of doing business becoming a priority that we are aware of, we are committed to creating an easy, fast, and smooth work environment to enhance efficiency and calibrate all our services. The connectivity pillar does, in fact, set our work apart. Every investor in the current globalization period looks for a strategic location with quick access to markets. We at Hamriya Free Zone are at the heart of the global trade system, positioned between 3 continents and offering competitive advantage that enable and accelerate products delivery to target markets. As for the collaboration, we consider dialogue and partnership as an integral part of our culture, and we are keen to nurture them among our clients, who are our strategic partners. Therefore, we spare no effort to ensure that we are able to compete by sharing ideas, understanding their problems, and offering them creative solutions. Partnership serves as a cornerstone, and mutual trust is fostered by open and honest communication, as well as unrestricted collaboration and coordination. The 4 pillars, the 4 Cs, stand for commerce. That is the foundation that allows us to support our customers. Fees for our services are competitive and appropriate for all investments. And this is one of the core values we provide to investors. The growth and success of our clients has always been a significant part of us. Ladies and gentlemen, today in the Hamriya Free Zone, we house over 6,500 companies from over 163 countries. But I would say the largest and always the biggest share is from India. We have over 30% of our companies have come from here, and we are very proud of this. In addition, the Free Zone offers over 300 smart services and gives all our investors countless competitive advantage. These include a one-stop shop and improves performance, efficiency, and makes doing business easy. Multiple tax exemptions, optional reputation of capital and profit, full business ownership, rapid access to regional and global markets to boost imports, exports, and re-exports. Facilitate warehousing in multiple sizes to suit the various needs and requirements of our investors. And advance legislation and regulatory setting and encouraging stimulus packages that provide added value to businesses. This is in addition to developing transportation network that connects Hamriya Port with all international destinations and commercial markets. Our geographic location is substantial competitive advantage since it is giving our investors access to more than 2 billion consumers in the Middle East, North Africa, and the Indian subcontinent alone, not to mention other global markets. Today, Sharjah has over 35% of all factories in the United Arab Emirates, making it a fundamental pillar of the manufacturing industry in the country. Most of these factories are housed in the free zones. Our government has prioritized making Sharjah a top-tier business destination, and we have worked hard to realize this goal through our initiatives and hard work. Today, from this prestigious global gathering, I invite you all to redirect your investments towards Sharjah, your gateway towards global competitiveness, and your window towards business future. For us, customer is always first, second, and third. Honorable audience, this vital conference, which brings together professional international auditors, inspires me to speak about significant role that you play in laying the foundation for a robust and flexible economy capable of addressing a variety of challenges. Auditing is crucially connected to the economy's protection since it shields establishment and companies from mismanagement and unprofessional conducts. It also maintains the financial solvency of companies and presents their ability to meet their obligations and enhance the confidence of their customers and protect the assets and funds of shareholders, partners, suppliers, as well as stakeholders. As you know, auditing is unquestionable the first step in creation of any effective corporate governance system, which forms the cornerstone for all confidence of shareholders and clients. So basically, without all of you, economy cannot move. Therefore, I believe that your line of work constitutes an important pillar for the future economy, and it is the basis of attracting and protecting investments. This can be achieved by adopting sound professional practices, preserving the rights of the citizens and parties, and developing the economy and the GDP. Your responsibility is great, your efforts are much appreciated, and your professionalism is much more needed now than ever before in order to push our companies and economies to greater heights and competitiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, my presence today in this conference in Mumbai comes at a time when mutual economic relations between the UAE and India are thriving. Just recently, our countries have signed a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, CEPA, an agreement that reflects strong commercial ties and solid economical historical partnership between the two countries. The agreement, which entered into force last May, is expected to double the bilateral trade by up to 120%, accounting for $100 billion in the next 5 years, compared to the current value of $45 billion. Estimates and statistics also indicate that the agreement will achieve a growth of 1.7% or $9 billion to the national economy by 2030 and will create around 140,000 jobs for talented and skilled workers within the UAE. During the same period also, it is important not to miss the definite benefit of this agreement on the Indian economy, investors and traders. But the question here is, why do I mention this agreement in my speech on global competitiveness and free zones? Simply because this agreement is an irrepressible global opportunity for every investor, and we at Hamriya Free Zone are your gateway towards a world of rewarding opportunities between the two countries. I guarantee you that we will always live up to your trust and give you the power and flexibility needed to take your business to new heights and excellence and grow your business. Ladies and gentlemen, Louis Vincent Gerstner, former CEO of IBM and one of the world's best-known business leaders, once said, "We do not need departments of commerce, labor, and education. We need a single department of skills that will promote an integrated approach to global competitiveness." Allow me to add my own words. We only need innovation and integration of free zones to lead us to the global competitiveness. I would like to leave you all with a small video which gives you a glimpse of Hamriya Free Zone and how it makes an important impact on the global business arena. Thank you all for your presence. A big thank you to the organizers of this wonderful event. and giving you an opportunity to address you. Wishing everyone good luck and success. Thank you.
Welcome to a world of new possibilities, the epicenter of excellence for the future-focused enterprises in Sharjah. Equipped with the cutting-edge infrastructure services and facilities for industries, including oil and gas, industrial manufacturing, marine, food, logistics, accelerator hub. Welcome to Hamria Free Zone Authority, where we believe in convenience, collaboration, connectivity, and commerce. These 4 pillars define our culture and strategy to ensure we stay ahead on your behalf. Located at the intersection of 3 continents, we are a facilitator for international trade, providing businesses a direct and easy access to global and local markets. We work hand in hand with our investors to ensure we drive value and create opportunity. Cost-efficient rates and service fee underpin our culture of acute fiscal governance and support for all our partners and investors. We are the dynamic ones, the creative thinkers, always willing to go the extra mile. Fueled by tomorrow's promise, we believe that a sustainable future is a consequence of our collective efforts to protect the planet. At Hamria Free Zone, we offer a wide range of choices for your business to flourish. World-class facilities, including bespoke offices, state-of-the-art warehouses, and prime industrial land. Strategic location to access global markets, boasting a strong land, air, and sea network. With more than 6,500 investors from 163 countries, we are one of the largest and the fastest growing industrial free zones in the Middle East. Offering a wide range of benefits, including business setup in under 60 minutes, no corporate or income taxes, full foreign ownerships, online services, accessible anytime, anywhere, VIP services with an exclusive VIP lounge, dedicated call center for customer support. Be a part of our growing business community. Contact us today to discover how we can help empower your enterprise.
Let's have a big round of applause. That was indeed enlightening, and I would want to take this opportunity to extend my vote of thanks for the same, for delivering on the session on improving global competitiveness through free trade zones, and how Sir has been able to deliberate further to really make us all understand that how these free trade zones are contributing significantly to the economy by creating quick and simple technology and skills, by leading to the growth of economic sectors like trade, manufacturing, logistics, and so many more, creation of so many job opportunities, and of course, not to miss that how free trade zones have been able to contribute with the convenience, connectivity, collaboration, and commerce as the 4 C's that Sir has been able to highlight for us, which really highlights the vision, the mission, and the culture. And the Hamria Free Zones has, of course, been able to validate all of that. It's a completely golden opportunity with such mutual relations between India and UAE. I see this completely as the future. Thank you so much, Sir, for extending our session on the free trade zones. Can we have a round of applause, please? And as a token of a deep gratitude and appreciation, now I would like to take this moment to invite CA Ranjit Kumar Agarwal, CCM ICAI, on the dais, please. to kindly present the memento to CA G. Ramaswamy Sir, past President, ICAI. Would like to have a round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much, sir. And now I'll take this opportunity to invite CA Chandrasekhar V. Chitala, sir, CCM ICAI, to the dais to kindly extend our vote of gratitude and appreciation to Mr. Saud Salim Al-Mazri, Director from Hamria Free Zone Authority. Let's have a big round of applause. Once again, thank you so much, distinguished panelists on the dais. And now we will be moving on to our next session, which is on Future of Accounting by Dr. V.G. Narayan from Professor Harvard Business School. And I would like to invite Shweta for the same. Thank you, sir.
This is your host Shweta Mawal, and with immense pleasure I welcome all of you present here to the second day of 21st World Congress of Accountants, November 2022, Mumbai, India. I can definitely see that there is a lot of energy in the audience because yesterday it was the first day, 18th of November 2022, where we all enjoyed the inauguration ceremony. And today we started with the yoga master, one of the most inspirational personality of India, Baba Ramdev ji. And I can definitely say that it was one of the most interesting session. But ladies and gentlemen, now it's the time to learn something in detail about the technicalities of accounting. And let me tell you all, it is also going to be one of the most interesting session because we all are going to get a glimpse into the future. We are going to understand in detail how accountants are adding value, what's changing in the opportunity available to the accountants, and why some arrangements might be in the short-term interest of accountants, but may not serve us well in the long term. Get to know from our eminent speaker on how the accountancy profession may evolve and how we can shape the emerging future environment. So, for this session, I would like to call on stage one of our most experienced and respectable speaker, CA Dr. V.G. Narayanan, Professor, Harvard Business School. So everyone, please put your hands together for him. To discuss in short, Professor Narayanan currently chairs the elective curriculum of the MBA program at the Harvard Business School. He joined the HBS faculty in 1994 and has taught in several MBA, doctoral, and executive education programs. So let's hear from him.
Good morning, everyone. It's my honor and pleasure to be here. I'd like to thank ICAI and IFAC for the opportunity to present here. This is a very nostalgic moment for me. I'm a chartered accountant from India, and this is the 35th year after I passed my CA final exam in November 1987. What makes this extra special for me is I ran into my teacher, Sri R. Bhupati ji. He taught me income tax, and I took his blessings before this session. It's a very, very proud moment for me. I feel very humbled. This is the highlight of my professional career, and I miss my father, who passed away 4 years ago, but I'm so happy I met someone of his generation who could bless me. So thank you all. It's my immense pleasure to talk to you today. I'm going to be talking to you about the future of accounting. And these are my speculations on what might happen, what the challenges are. But here is the agenda. Before I talk about the future, I'm going to go back into the past and understand how accounting must have started. What is the role for accounting in society? What would happen if we did not have accounting? And what is the value that accountants add to society? I feel that we have forgotten, or maybe we're taking for granted, how we add value to society. We need to reclaim that. We need to understand that, because to go to the future, we need to keep that very sharply in focus and say, this is how we add value, and everything else that's extraneous, we can change, but we need to hone in on how is it that we add value to society. So this is the agenda now, and I'll end with a set of prescriptions or a call for action. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginnings. How do we know, what is the earliest evidence that we see of accounting? We see this with the Babylonians, the Egyptians. There's a lot of, and the Mesopotamians, where there are inscriptions in rocks about grains that are delivered, or contracts that have been entered into, or taxes that have been collected. This is some of the earliest evidence that still survives. I'm sure there's other evidence in the form of palm leaves that were inscribed, but maybe they have been lost. But those that are inscribed in stone have survived thousands of years. Possibly accounting is as old as civilization itself. In India too, you go to the, Chanakya wrote Arthashastra between 375 BC and 300 BC. He had written Arthashastra, which is a treatise on governance and government accounting and taxation. Likewise, you go look at the temple walls in South India, you will see who gave the endowments, how much money was contributed. These are all the delegation, responsibilities, taxes, all this is etched in stone. So some of the earliest records of accounting are still around with us. But truly, the modern way of doing accounting, the double entry system of accounting, came into prominence in medieval Italy, in Venice in particular. So I've had the privilege at Harvard Business School's Baker Library of seeing one of the few surviving copies of Luca Pacioli's book, one of the first treatises on accounting. And that even prior to that, there was the Medici family's accounting records, and I've seen those as well. They are still in very, very good quality. The ledger books of the Medici families, all the expenses, the cash accounts, everything is handwritten, in beautiful paper and survives till today. And one of the key reasons why I think accounting must have flourished and expanded in medieval Europe is that by then paper had been invented. It's kind of hard to keep track of all our transactions if everything has to be chiseled into stone. So the invention of paper strikes me as an important development in the progress of accounting. But equally important are the Hindu numerals. By 500 AD, we have Aryabhatta talking about not just the decimal system, but the positional value of these numerals. When you vary them from the units digits to the 10th digits to the 100th digit, the value changes. So by 500 AD, from the Hindu mathematicians had contributed both the concept of zero, but also the positional value of the numerals. Then by 800 AD, the Arab scholars are writing about the Hindu numerals. They added algebra and they added the fraction system to our knowledge. And so by the time we are in 13th century in medieval Venice, they're building on the progress that has been made by origin of paper in China, the development of the decimal system in India, and the addition of the fraction system and algebra in the Islamic world. All this contributes to the growth of accounting in Venice. Also, we see after that the growth of these joint stock companies. And I'm very sure that the development and the flourishing of joint stock companies in medieval Europe could not have happened but for accounting. Why is that? The first thing to realize is that accounting allows for the separation of ownership and management. You can have a bunch of people sitting on land who are contributing capital, and that company can then buy ships and engage in maritime trade, and the captain of the ship comes back and renders accounts to the owners of these voyages. That must be how accounting led to the growth of joint stock companies and the separation of ownership and management. This allowed the attraction of risk appetite, risk capital to these enterprises. Accounting also allowed decentralization. By 1775, the English East India Company was lording over millions of people in India, right? But can you imagine that they had only 159 employees in their headquarters in London? All it took was 159 employees for them to have a dominating presence around the world. That was not possible without the accounting reports that would have been used to decentralize and delegate. So accounting could be a force for good, but it can also be a force for control. Likewise, accounting is used for evaluating the performance of managers so that we decide whether to promote them, whether to retain them, whether to give or to hire someone else to replace them. And accounting is also used for valuation. When someone sells shares in one of these joint stock companies to another person, what is the price at which they're going to sell it? Clearly, it's going to be based on accounting reports. So these were the early uses of accounting information to decentralize, separate ownership from management, evaluate performance for valuation. But keep in mind, when you start using accounting information for valuation, when you start using accounting information for performance evaluation, what gets measured gets managed. And there are good ways in which things can be managed. You can improve efficiency, you can perform better at a higher level, and you will attract the best talent, the most hardworking talent to the best companies. You attract capital to the most entrepreneurial organizations. But you also have people managing numbers by cooking the books. So right when accounting being started for use for performance evaluation, auditing emerged at the same time to check the veracity of these numbers. That is human nature. Okay, these are the origins of accounting. But there is a subtle piece to this that is more important that we haven't talked about. This is called about the information asymmetry. Information asymmetry can destroy markets. It can destroy the exchange of products and services. And if you provide information symmetry, you can unleash the power of markets. You can unleash the power of prosperity. So let me give you this as an example. The George Akerlof, he's a Nobel laureate. He wrote this paper called The Market for Lemons in 1970. And it's one of the foundational papers in information economics. I'll try to give you a numerical example to give the insight. Lemons are like used cars, and imagine a used car that you own, that you want to sell. And you think that the car is worth somewhere between 500,000 rupees and 900,000 rupees. And the buyer of this used car is also aware that it's worth somewhere between 500,000 and 900,000 rupees. But neither party knows exactly what it's worth. They just know that it's worth between 500 and 900,000, and it's uniformly distributed in this range. Then the buyer might say, okay, I'll offer 700,000, halfway between 500,000 and 900,000. And the seller says, that's a fair price, let's shake hands, and there's transaction. But let me change one slight assumption, which is a reasonable assumption to change. The seller knows more about the worth of their car than the buyer of the car. What will happen is that, and this is the genius of Akerlof when he proved this mathematically, he showed that if the buyer knows the price of the car, if the seller knows the price of the car, what it's truly worth, but the buyer does not know, all trade will collapse. Because if the buyer now says, let me offer 700,000 rupees, all sellers whose cars are worth more than 700,000 will say, I'm not going to sell. So anticipating this, the buyer will no longer offer 700,000, they might only offer 600,000. Knowing this, sellers with cars worth more than 600,000 will refuse to sell. So the buyer will now say, let me adjust it down to 550,000. Knowing this, sellers with car worth more than 550,000 will refuse to sell. Working backwards, the only car that can be sold is the absolute bottom, which is called the lemon. The worst car will be the only car that can be sold. The idea is not about selling used cars. This is true in any setting, including in capital markets. When one party is privately informed and another party, either the buyer or the seller is privately informed and the counterparty is not, doesn't have the same information, trade will collapse. Exchange of products, goods, services, or exchange of securities will not happen. And that destroys value in society. So let me give you a counterexample to show you the power of information symmetry. We are going to look at this company, Alibaba. Alibaba entered the e-commerce space in 1999, about 23 years ago in China. They were a late entrant. eBay, which had already tasted success in USA and in Western Europe, had already entered the Chinese market. They had better technology and they had deeper pockets. They were already very profitable. They had access to venture capitalists. So they had a big lead over Alibaba. But what Alibaba did was it said, China is different. The buyers and sellers in China do not know each other. They don't trust each other. The buyers were concerned that these sellers would ship shoddy products to them through the e-commerce channels. And the sellers were concerned that the buyers will actually not pay for the product. The use of credit cards was not that common 25 years ago in China. So because of this lack of trust between buyers and sellers, eBay was not getting much traction. Amazon, which came after that, was also not getting much traction. This is where Alibaba's genius came in. They said, we are going to solve this information asymmetry problem. We are going to take the money from the buyer and hold it in escrow. And we will give 7 days for the buyers to examine the product. If they're going to keep the product, we'll transfer the money from the escrow to the seller. If they're going to return the product, they'll get their money back. So that way, both parties are assured that they will not going to be cheated by the other counterparty. Then they said, we are going to allow the sellers and buyers to privately communicate on our platform, exchange videos, exchange pictures, exchange demonstrations. All of a sudden, they create ratings of buyers and sellers of each other. All this led to a higher level of trust in the e-commerce space, and the result was amazing. Not only did Alibaba overtake all its competitors, it became the largest e-commerce platform in the world and made more transaction volume and more profits than the next several e-commerce players all over the world combined. So you can add Amazon, you can add eBay, you can add all their profits, all their revenues. Alibaba is significantly bigger because they were able to solve this information asymmetry problem. Buyers and sellers are now able to trust because they have the same information. Now this applies in capital markets too, and this is where the connection to accountants comes in. In capital markets, there is exchange between the investors and the firms in which they invest, where the entrepreneurs are starting. In exchange for their investment, they get periodic information and they get their returns in the form of dividends. But all this will work only if there is trust between capital providers and the entrepreneurs. And that trust depends on the integrity of the information that's provided to them. Otherwise, you will have private information. The entrepreneurs will know more than the capital markets. So what will that mean? When that happens, the bid-ask spreads will increase and the cost of capital for these companies would go up. If you want to reduce the cost of capital for these companies, you have to reduce the information asymmetry. Likewise, if one pocket of shareholders are better informed than the different pocket of shareholders, trade between these two parties cannot happen. The bid-ask spreads would go up and the stocks will become illiquid. So killing private information is the key to unlocking prosperity in capital markets. And the way we do it is through periodic accounting reports that reduce the information asymmetry between the promoters and the stock market, and also between different parties in the stock market. So same ideas that we saw in Alibaba is true in capital markets as well. So what are the implications for accounting? Accounting reduces information asymmetry. It reduces cost of capital. It can unleash prosperity if it can truly reduce information asymmetry. We are in the trust business. People have to trust us, because when we come and say these are the numbers, and if people want to, unless they believe us, the information asymmetry will not come down. Okay? So we have to understand that our integrity is the most important asset that we have. Lastly, users of financial statements care equally about the relevance and the reliability of our financial statements. It's not one or the other. If all we cared about was reliability, then we can say all assets should have a useful life or depreciation of 15 years. Then every company will use 15 years. There'll be no manipulation of the books. You'll have very reliable numbers, but it will be completely useless because there will be no relevance to the information, where the private information of each company on how it's using its assets is not reflected in its books. So we have to have both relevance and reliability. For reliable information, we need our profession to invest in integrity and objectivity and independence of both the preparers and the auditors. Likewise, for numbers to be relevant, we need to invest in the competence and training and professional judgment of our profession, of our professionals, of our fellow accountants. These are the key attributes, the relevance and reliability of information, that's going to be important to reducing this information asymmetry. So I want you to imagine this opportunity that I'm going to describe for you. So I've been talking lots about financial statements, but I think the large opportunity is actually in the ESG space. What are the biggest challenges confronting humankind today? We are destroying our planet. There's not going to be a planet left for our children and grandchildren if we continue to pollute the planet this way. So renewable energy has to be important, but carbon emissions and pollution everywhere has to be a focus. Unfortunately, there is a lot of greenwashing. Lots of companies put out reports, but how do we know? How do we trust it? We don't have. So in the world of ESG, we are today where probably medieval Europe was in the world of financial accounting. We need standards, we need to train our auditors, we need to train the preparers, but that's the only way forward, because we need very relevant and reliable ESG reports for us to literally save the planet. And this is not hyperbole, this is a moral imperative for us. But there's considerable promise in technology. The time that we spend in vouching transactions to make sure that the counterparty and the transaction amounts, the terms are all there, are correct, that's more easily done with distributed ledgers. Those technologies is going to make the verification of transactions a lot easier. I can even imagine a world where financial statements of companies are continuously updated on their websites. You want the balance sheet of a company, go to their website, by the second, by the millisecond, as and when transactions happen, the balance sheets, the income statement for the period and cash flow statement is all changing. That's possible today. We have the technology. It can be done. It can be even better than that. If the user says, I don't like their accounting policy of this company, I want to use a different accounting policy, all they should be able to do is change a few settings on their computer, and the financial statements of the company that they're looking at completely gets recast. If the company had been using LIFO in the US, if the company has been using LIFO in the US and they want to see FIFO financial statements, this can be done. So when you do all this, we can start attracting capital and labor to the preferred sectors. The youngsters today are shunning companies because they want to see businesses focusing on the environment. And capital wants to flow into organizations that care about the future of our society, the stakeholders, and governance. All this is possible if we can reimagine the role of accountants. So we're losing the plot. We're doing lots of things. We are focusing on campaigning for strict rules that take away our professional judgment. We are protesting any rules that talk about the importance of auditor independence. We are cutting our costs and liabilities rather than standing behind our certifications. And we are not attracting the best and brightest to our profession. Ask yourself, compared to a generation ago, if the best and brightest in our society are coming to our profession, or are we losing them to other professions? So the call for action is this, okay? We should aspire to be a force for the good, because the future of our planet depends on businesses broadly, and for businesses to do the right thing, we need accountants to be certifying their ESG reports. So we can be a force for the good. We need to aspire for that. But the key here is our unimpeachable integrity and independence. So force for good, our integrity, we need to attract the best and brightest. And the best and the brightest will come into our profession if they know, if they are inspired by the fact that we can change the world and make it a better place. And everything else we need to be flexible about, and we have to embrace change. There is a core fundamental problem in the nature of the auditing relationship between the client and the firm. The fundamental problem is that the client pays for the auditor,